Hey y'all, Craig. Well, it was just Groundhog Day, and I forgot. Yeah, it's funny. I used to kind of pay attention to Groundhog Day. I don't know why. Once I was in Punxsutawney, uh, but so much stuff going on. And I was thinking about it. I have no idea if he saw a shadow or not, or what to expect. But who knows what to expect, right? Uh, but I was thinking about it just now. You know, Groundhog Day used to be about how long is winter going to last, and maybe help you determine when to plant. And then ever since the movie with Bill Murray, it means something else entirely. And we all understand. It's just those days that just go on and on. And who can argue that we've been experiencing the supreme Groundhog Day? It's just still we're like, what day is it? I don't even know. There's certain things that happen certain days, and oh yeah, that's kind of how weekends don't even matter. It's been weird, and obviously, since the election, everyone figured, well, once the election takes place, then something's going to change because, yeah, we all knew that this was sort of a huge buildup, and obviously for Trump supporters, it didn't go the way we wanted it to go, and we certainly have lots of reasons to be suspicious about the way it went. But regardless of that, we have what we've got, and what we've got is ever crazier seeming Joe and a cabinet full of the miscreants that we're so used to from the past, and all these executive orders. I mean, holy cow! Record breaking to say the least. And it's like they're in this huge rush to try to just get rid of everything that Trump achieved, which it's who knew Trump achieved so much that it would require so many executive orders right out of the gate, right? The press certainly wasn't really talking much about it because this was all pretty good stuff, and now we're seeing well, what are they doing? What's the result, right? And so right away you see these little things like, well, there's the relief bill, of course, which has been basically sitting on desks for months and months and months and months. And we finally passed the one, and instead of people getting a righteous amount of money, we get this Nancy's crumbs, and we see all this money go off to foreign countries that hate us, like the old days. And they're still fighting over another $2 trillion worth of stuff, which what do I? Oh, maybe this time we'll get $1,400. Oh, but 2 trillion. Where's all that money going to? And of course, it's going to bail out all these leftist cities that have let things burn, over the summer and continue to burn, and where they've driven all their population away and they don't have a tax basis anymore. So we're supposed to bail them out, and for our efforts and for putting our grandchildren in a debt, we're going to get $1,400. Yay! And then, of course, there's the vaccine, and the transition didn't go super well because the Biden crew, who, of course, Biden said he had all the answers and he knew exactly what to do, had no idea what to do, and they weren't ready. They didn't know what was happening. But really, of course, the follow-up there, just like security throughout the whole summer, is and the masking and the restrictions and all that is state by state. The states, of course, have a higher power than the federal government, and so they dictate what they do, and they dictate what level of lockdown they want, what level of masking they want, and they dictate how they are going to distribute the vaccine when they get it. And so most people know that it's been kind of hit and miss. They took care of a bunch of folks right off, first responders, people like that. Then it was a big question of, well, who do we do next? And then you hear things like, well, we gotta give the vaccine to prisoners, and we gotta do this and that. And, obviously the most obvious place to start would be the people who, have most to fear from this virus, which would be, people in their 70s and up. That's the numbers who have been largely dying, or people who have a pre-existing condition. Those are the people that would make the most sense, right? Because, again, most people don't get sick from it. We've seen that. But anyway, they've had a hard time trying to get a handle on that. And then you see, of course, the impeachment thing continues, and which is just nuts. It's like they just want to get rid of Trump so bad. They got to get rid of everything he did and just keep him away. And you got to wonder why. If they have all the power and they make up all the stories, and they're not concerned about anybody else's version of evidence and the truth, why are they afraid of Trump? They got rid of him. If anyone knows Trump or paid any attention, they probably have a lot of reason to worry, right? He's not a quitter. And he told us right after the election, that late that night, he says, hey, I see what's happening here. These states are shutting down the counting, and this is really unusual, and we know that we won, and we see what they're up to. And, we've talked about all this before, where he's given every opportunity for the different states to come forward and basically, hey, acknowledge the really obvious stuff, like, the dead people voting and illegals voting and people that moved out of state voting and all these things. I mean, my gosh, we've seen everything now. We've got Mike Lindell, the pillow guy. He's got his own movie out. I just started watching the very beginning of it today. And, we've got Navarro's reports. They're amazing. And we've just got, so much evidence, just so much evidence that this election, it was just a huge, hot mess. And, then we're seeing, what is Pennsylvania, where, some of this late vote counting, and especially the ballots they received before they even mailed them out, stuff like that. So, we probably can't do that. And of course, now we're seeing in Arizona. It was supposed to start on Wednesday. I don't know if it's actually started yet or not, but in Arizona, finally, they're going to start to do a real, honest-to-God forensic audit of their election in Maricopa. Now I can't remember the name of the county, but, basically where Phoenix is. And that should tell us a lot, because we've seen a lot of weird stuff out of Arizona. And, if they have a chance to really look over the ballots and the machines and all that, and they find the kind of stuff we think they might find, then it really opens up the door. We have to look everywhere. Because, we've seen it already. In the few machines we've had a chance to look at, seriously, they've seen the kind of things that we thought we'd see. Where they've erased some of the memory, but you can still see the older memory, where the machines don't give you the same count every time, just all kinds of odd behavior. And of course, we know in Georgia, where they had to, what was the word for it? I can't even think of it now, but, where they had to basically look at most of the ballots to make sure that everything was right, where they can, delineate or however they decide, where it's supposed to be, much, much, much less than 1%, and it was, I think, in the 70% that they had to actually look at and say, yeah, that's a true ballot, and it gave them the ability to switch the votes and do all that stuff. But anyway, with all the stuff that we've been told they've seen, and the reports that we've seen, I think they've got a lot to fear from Trump still. And boy, they haven't been nice to the guy. Or any of his followers. I mean, you're seeing all this, and how we're being treated. And isn't it weird? This is all really based on this insurgency, this attack on the Congress building in the Capitol, and okay, these are a bunch of Trump supporters, which we never see violence out of Trump supporters. We're all about law and order, right? But we saw a bunch of Trump supporters there, and you could see where people went through the gates, and it sure looked like the gates were just opened up to them. The blockade was kind of pulled out of the way, and you see people kind of go in there. But there was a certain group that was just rushing in there, and they're dying to break windows and do stuff, and they're causing trouble. And people were calling them out. And sure enough, they stormed in there. And, it's funny, you see in the aftermath all these pictures of them. And, they sure are nice pictures. They seem really well lit, and everything's just tacked sharp. And in the pictures, if you look, you also see that there's a bunch of photographers there. There's people taking pictures. And that's odd, right? I mean, I know there's photographers that would be in the Capitol, for the proceedings, for the vote and all. But, of course, you would think they all ran away, right, with all of the Congress people and everyone else. So I just found that really odd that, I remember seeing that one, where you see the guys, I guess they got into the Senate chambers, and, they're leafing through stuff and all. And you see the guy with the horns, right? And you see him up in the balcony, and he's, saying stuff. You see this photographer with this really nice rig taking pictures of him right there. It's just like, and he's an actor. And evidently he's a QAnon guy, too, and God knows what, and he's been in all kinds of riots. But what you have is a bunch of characters, and, these aren't Trump people. These are the same troublemakers we've been seeing over and over. We've talked about this stuff. But we're finding out more and more slowly. We're finding out that they're not trying to even look for Antifa connections. They're trying to figure out this, it's a white supremacist angle, or, some weird QAnon thing. And it's like, guys, you're trying so hard. And it's just so obvious to everyone that has been watching any of this stuff unfold. It's like, these are troublemakers. And it's just really funny that they had it so easy to get in there, right? I mean, they just rushed in there. And then the poor woman gets shot, by a guy who wasn't even a Capitol Police officer. He was like a security guy to one of the Congress people, oddly enough. And he's not in any trouble for that, even though that woman was unarmed. But then you hear about, this one cop was bludgeoned to death with a fire extinguisher. And then you hear, maybe that's not really the case. And, they've been trying to shape that story. And so the truth of that's going to unfold one way or another, right? And so, the impeachment trial is going on now. And, see what comes of that. But all of these things they just seem so ridiculous. And it's so obvious how hard that the Democrats are trying to put things right back the way they were. It's sort of like, we moved out of the house, these people moved in, we didn't like them, so we bought the house back, and we're putting everything else the way we had it when we lived there. They're just, it's just the same old thing that was so awful in the past. And I know a lot of people liked Obama for his personality, but their policies were terrible. And you're seeing it, in Iran, they're starting to try to normalize relations with them somehow, and we're getting people mad at us that we're okay with us, and then we're starting to, buddy up with all of Europe again, which, that's all just about pulling money out of us. And what money, right? We're spending so much money, we're so hugely in debt. With all this stuff, and what you're seeing them doing, and, you're just like, they seem like they're losing their minds, and I think that they just can't seem to get Trump out of their heads. It's like everything they're doing is about trying to erase Trump, which just seems to make everyone think, especially me, more about Trump. It's like, yeah, you talk about the B team, this is like the F troop, these guys are clowns. It's a clown show. So, do we have to live with it? I don't know. I'm kind of holding out that hope. It's sort of like, look, we've got to seriously look at the election. We have to seriously look at the antics. We talked before about, the oath of office, the Constitution, and how this group, and be it Democrat or Republican, they're just trampling all over it. And we're seeing it. We're not stupid. But we're busy, and it's like, what are we supposed to do about it? We did the voting thing, and we could see they don't care about that anymore, and because they'll just rig it however they want. But we still hold out the hope that there's going to be a group that's going to come through here, and obviously the courts have been super reluctant to take on these cases. But I just found out that actually, the Trump side's winning cases. About 2 out of 3. So, and then in the Supreme Court on the 19th, the Supreme Court's supposed to look at what is one of Sidney Powell's cases and Lynn Wood's cases. I think the Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Michigan, maybe. I'm not sure. But on the 19th, there's 3 cases coming up, at least for the initial conversation in the Supreme Court. So, stuff's still going on. And, meanwhile, you look out there and you wonder, what's up at the White House? Why do they still have, the huge fence? Isn't it funny how, now we know that they knew that something was going to happen at the Capitol, before Trump ever gave his speech or anything. They knew days ahead, if not a whole week ahead. And we know that now. They were warned something was up. And remember those pipe bombs? They were laid out there the day prior, right? So there's stuff in the works, way before Trump ever gave his speech. So, if they know about all of that, and yet they didn't have any additional security, right? We know. If you've seen the videos, not the ones they show mainstream TV where they have it really close on whatever crowd's there and it looks really violent. But if you see all the rest of it where people are going in and all that, and it's very few people that really were inside. But you watch all that and you can kind of see the separation and how easy it was and how those guys were kind of playing it up and kind of posing for pictures, and the cops were just sort of kind of going along with it. But you see how security and all was just minimal. The very next day, after the whole event was done, everyone peaceably went home, right? Trump said, "Oh, go home peacefully," and everyone did, except for that group, which started way before he ended his speech, of course. But everyone went home, and then the very next day they set up that huge perimeter fence, with the huge generators back there, and it was like all of a sudden it turned into like Fort Capitol. It was the day after, and it took them no time to do it, right? And then all the National Guard gets moved in and everything else. It's sort of like, well, if you knew, how come you didn't do that beforehand? And also, why did you do it afterwards? What were you expecting? Were you expecting a bunch of Trump people to be a bunch of violent people like you try to make us out to be? Because no one's been attacking anybody. As far as I know, I haven't seen any video of a bunch of Trump supporters surging against the barricades to get in there. Haven't seen that. You would think after the incident in the Capitol, boy, if that's just a few that could get in there, my God, imagine now they're all going to be crazy. So it didn't happen. It's all the myths of the Trump supporters. They've been outrageous. It's insulting that people believe this nonsense because they know us otherwise, right? Until the politics thing came into the picture, we were all buddies and everything was cool. And then all of a sudden you're a Trump supporter. It's just like, oh my God, if you don't wear a mask. It's like, why? We never wore masks before. Oh, you have to. We're going to save each other with the mask. It's like, I don't see it. Viruses don't care. And of course, that's the other thing is the whole virus. It's been played around so much. Everything from the vaccine being delayed until, after the election, and Joe with the double masking thing, and Fauci coming back on the scene, the highest paid government employee out of like 4 million total government employees and responsibilities, and out of all 4 million of them, Fauci is the highest paid. Right? Can you believe it? Mr. TV, and he's got patents and stuff that he's making money on. Not on this particular virus, but on procedures and stuff. He's got all those guys are connected, making money off of this, of course. But so there's reason enough for those guys to keep the thing going. It's like, look, we've invested a lot of money in this. Of course, they got paid a lot of money. We made the orders out before they even had a vaccine, to help support this whole thing. But they'd like to make more money on this, and But the thing is, it's kind of fizzled out, right? We've learned since that it's like, wow, they overtest every sample. So if, let's say, they test it 20 times, and all of a sudden the CDC is like, you know what, we can do like half of that. It was WHO or CDC, one of those guys. Anyway, just recently, they're like, maybe we're over testing these tests. So we'll just test that sample 10 times, and well, naturally, the numbers drop off. And sure enough, I was just looking at a graph, and it's like you could just draw a line. Inauguration, boom, just down 40%. Wow, what a miracle. So, that's what we're dealing with. That I don't know if this is true. And I saw this picture just this morning. It said, in South Africa, I think it was South Africa, they dropped all the mandates. It said, we're just, never mind, go back to normal. And you see people just having a great time, no masks, and just smiles. And I saw some video today, place down Florida supermarket. Everyone looks normal, no masks, and they're smiling and doing business. And in all honesty, here on the coast in tourist Mecca, we don't wear masks. There's places where we have to walk into the restaurant and all that, but by far and large, I've been playing gigs with absolutely not a mask in sight. And, thank God, it's because it's unnatural. It's not a help. It's a dumb thing. And it's become a virtue signal. And it's just another one of those things to divide us, and that's what we're seeing again, right? With Joe and crew. It's all division. And remember, Trump was always like, all of us, all Americans. Everything should be good for all Americans equally, right? That's what we saw the whole time. And it worked for all Americans. And by God, these guys are in there, and it's just like, nope. These were different. And boy, they still want to get rid of us, censor you to death, cull you out. You're seeing it. You're seeing it right now, where they're trying to convince. Well, it was like I was a new senator or House member Green, and they're like, she wanted to carry her firearm with her, and no, you can't do that. And okay. So a congressperson can't carry a firearm, really, and because they don't like the way she's subscribed to some of these conspiracy theories, these crazy QAnon people, and I'm sorry, but the stuff you guys call conspiracy theories keep turning into fact. It's crazy how that works. No, that's a conspiracy. It's like the whole Russia collusion thing. It's like, no, that was a conspiracy theory right there, which you guys even knew it was a lie from the very beginning, now we find out. And that's another one of those things hanging out there, right? Just consider that. Nixon, before he was impeached, he resigned. And, of course, he would have been impeached because people that worked for his committee, his election committee, were caught breaking into his competition. The opposite side's hotel room at the Watergate Plaza or hotel or whatever Watergate thing it was. And, that was a big deal back then. And now we know that the Hillary campaign paid for this dossier that was used by people who knew it was fake to spy on Trump and his campaign. Same thing, right? Should be. And now we've got all the documentation to prove they all knew it. Interesting. And then, of course, the most recent impeachment. And as I said, it's like, well, who exactly was in charge of those people storming in there? What was going on with that? Maybe we'll find out all this stuff. Maybe all this is going to make a big, big difference. I kind of hope it does, because I'm not liking the way things are shaping up right now. That's for sure. And the crazy people, as I call them affectionately, say I should keep my eyes open this weekend during the Super Bowl. And, of course, I'll be watching the Super Bowl anyway. So I'm excited to see the flyover and maybe some programming afterwards. I don't know. But one way or another, exciting times, interesting times. And, we can still have good times, right? So please have a great day, and thanks for listening.